So this is my new project. It is a Lunar Meteorite. It is a small lightweight caravan. It weighs about 690 kilos, so you can tow it, you know, on any license really. I think, you know, even if you passed after 97, you can tow it. If you passed before, obviously you can tow it. This is a brake trailer, has a maximum laden weight of 1,190 kilograms, but I will be towing this one empty because I'm young, so it needs to be light for me to tow it legally. The brakes also have to be in serviceable condition for me to tow it legally, but it also needs some other work. It needs a little bit of structural work, so I'll show you around. So I think that you can see it best from this angle. You see the back of the Caravan is nice and straight, and then as it goes towards the front, underneath the window there's quite a large bulge, and basically the outer skin and the insulation has come away from the inside of the Caravan. So essentially what that means is that the Caravan is falling apart. You know, if the inside skin comes away from the interior, which is basically it's just screwed to the bench seats on the inside. If it comes away, that's it. The whole Caravan will peel apart like an orange. But don't take my word for it. If you just look here, you can see that the outer skin is popping away from the Caravan. So there are some curtains in the way right now, and this is the big reveal. Should you be able to see daylight from the inside of the Caravan? Oh no. So that's what we're trying to fix basically. You know, obviously things have rotted away and the Caravan structure has started to fail, but with enough time and effort all things are repairable, and I am not daunted by this repair. Actually, to me it seems quite straightforward, which is lovely. So I'm going to show you the process I go through to fix something like this. For full disclosure, this is not a it's not just an isolated event just to this one corner that I've showed you from the inside. So I'm going to give the outside skin a push and I'll show you what I mean. This is the main door frame and where the step up will be into the Caravan, and this is pretty much where the rot ends. This rear panel here is okay. It's just pretty much from the other side of this door frame is where the issue starts. So I'll demonstrate the movement that it has there as well. So I think, as you can see from here, and also from down there, there's going to be some work that's needed. That will come apart on the motorway and you will end up in some kind of Top Gear special accidentally, which you don't want. So we're going to strip out the inside and then we're going to repair this wall and get it to the point where we're happy to tow it. So now, in order to get a better look at that corner, I'm going to remove the bench seat and the unit that you can see there on the left with the drill on top of it. Well, that unit was pretty easy to remove. It was just held on with some little Posi 2 bits. They're like a Phillips bit with a little diagonal relief in the bit as well. Sorry, in the screw, just to help remove it. They all came out okay. I did have to pull one out, just the last one at the end, which is kind of like sunk into some rotted timber, so it was just spinning, so I just lifted that one out. That was fine. And now all I need to do is remove this set of drawers and then we can get on with our wall repair. In this particular Caravan, you do not need any special tools to remove the drawers. They should just pull out. and then the rest of the unit is just held in with some Posi 2 screws in my case. The dog is optional. I'm just going to help the drying process now with a heat gun, just to try and dry out as much as I can now before I try and do any repairs. So with the furniture removed, this is the corner which is damaged, and what I tend to do is I tend to peel up. You can see this is the other half of the wall, also damaged. And then we have our wallpaper, which what I've done here is I've cable tied it up there onto the units. You can see both cable ties there. That holds that out of the way for me, just while I can work down here. Now the top part of that ply is delaminated slightly, but doesn't look too bad. Some parts of it are actually bone dry, like this corner just here. It's stained, but it's dry. It's pretty much from here, which is the problem. And what happens is there's a batten in here, like that. That is what has rotted away, untreated timber. And then obviously the wall will flex around after that. In fact, I'll demonstrate to you exactly what happens just down here. You can see the wall will have no structural integrity because these battens are what your wall fixes to. So on some caravans, actually the weather stripping will screw through from one side into this batten, and then your internal furniture will screw through from this side into that batten, and it holds everything taut, essentially. So we need to dig out all of the rotten timber and replace it. As for these boards, this is just a veneer of plywood, so you can just scrape off what is rotten, dry it out with a heat gun, and the insulation doesn't really rot, it's just polystyrene. Well, it would rot eventually, I suppose, but not for what we're talking about here. It will be fine. So we'll dry out the ply, which adds no structural integrity, and then we will replace the battens, and then we'll be good to go after that. Then we can brace everything back up, pull in all of the walls, and hopefully not fall apart on the motorway, which would be nice. Just thought I'd try and get you a shot of the essentially how this works. So basically I'll pull that up, and then I cable tie it up out of the way so I can dry the bottom with my heat gun. Something like that. I'm just going to remove this plate here now, just to have a quick look at what's underneath. I assume this was put here as some sort of strengthening before the side went. I see. Alright. So we've got this one screw here. This one screw here wouldn't come loose, so it's literally got no head on it, so I didn't even bother trying. And then it looks like there are a couple of screws coming in from the underneath, just to strengthen up this corner of the floor. So we'll peel away this, try and remove some of the debris and see what we've got to work with. So now we're just going to dry out this little section of flooring. I just pulled up that lino, Just give this a good dry out and then see what we're left with. I'm not 100% sure how well it comes across over the time lapse, but drying this out is a very important stage, so I'm just going to show you how well the heat gun will dry this out quickly. So that's kind of really what you want to do, is just go throughout everything and just dry it out as best as you can. You can see here where it's dried, and then here where it isn't dried out yet, and then here where it's still absolutely sopping wet. You can see a difference, so it's definitely worth doing this. So you can see here that in the middle we've got plenty of good material left. Plenty of it. This stuff here is a little bit damp still, even after the heat gun. That is not too big of an issue, but you can see here there's like a difference between dry, wet and sodden. See the difference? Just here. You can see that difference just there, where it gets completely wet. Now, if I just going to try and show this on the camera, if I come down here, you can see how where it goes from dry to slightly wet is pretty much level, and then when it goes sodden, you see how it just drops away. So this is not rotten yet, so just because it's wet does not mean that it's rotten. So what we're going to do, we're going to dry it out and we are going to force it back into the position that it's supposed to be in. And the way we'll probably do that is by putting a couple of larger timbers, thicker timbers that are quite stiff, across here. We'll screw them into the good stuff first, and then we'll put some screws through, and it will pull up the areas that are playing nonsense, basically. Once that's done, well, I say once that's done, probably what I'll do before I even do that is I need to remove all of the rotten timber in here. There's plenty of it all the way up there. I need to remove all of that rotten timber along the bottom as well, the rotten timber along the wheel arch, and then also the rotten timber down here underneath the door as well. That's all got to come out, and we're going to have to build in some some new stuff there. So once that's all done, we should be away then, and then it will just be a case of just like dropping down the the wallpaper and stuff and re-gluing it and all that kind of good stuff. It's ripped here and what have you, but it's not the end of the world, because that's all going to be hidden underneath the units. As long as this stuff here looks okay, we'll be good. So I'm just going to remove some of this rotten timber now, so that we can refit our new stuff. Well, this is definitely something worth documenting, and that is that these two skins are individual. So this is a screw that comes through from the weather strip here, and all the threads have rotted away, so it just looks like a nail. Not the end of the world, so that should pretty much hold itself in place. And essentially this comes up probably, I would assume, 1/2 inch higher than the outside skin, and the way that it works is that obviously water cannot defy gravity. So unless the Caravan is upside down, the water can't come inside. So this here, if I pry this away, yeah, there we go. So you can actually see, if I just try to, remove that from there for a second, you will see that if I pull this away, you can see the outside world. So that's when you pull it. So there is a little discrepancy there between two different panels. From the outside it looks like one complete panel, but it is not. So, it doesn't really affect what we're doing. Essentially, we're just going to have to put something else on here, but what it may mean is that when we put our new timbers on here, you may push the external skin out. So if it hits this little nut here, or this little little screw thread thing, it'll push the outside skin out and the inside skin will stay against the timber, so you'll end up doing this like that. So I may just tap that off with a hammer for now, and then we'll see where we are, and then we'll cut our new timbers, fit them, pull them all tight and see where we are. So now that we have pulled out the inside of the rotten timber, what we want to do is just tuck in this outside skin back into place somewhat, and now we can start fitting our new timbers to the inside. So in my case, the strips need to be 40mm, so that's what I'm going to cut right now. So once you cut your strips, you just need to put them in place and then screw them in. I like to screw them in from the other side. Yes, it does leave screws proud. I can always grind those off if I want to. It depends on where the top of the seat comes to. I probably will grind off at least the top ones here, but what I'm doing is I'm using these sealed screws from the outside here. So you can see that they come up tight to the body, and then they have like a nice seal around them. And that's what I'm doing for now, just to get it all nice and weather tight, and then it will pull the sides in, brace everything up, and then I can brace it up further once I've got the interior in. So don't be discouraged if, like mine, yours goes a little bit skew-iff at the end there. You can see where it isn't quite sitting correctly. What I've done is I've removed my bracing from the inside, ready to refit the interior furniture, and I will use the interior furniture to screw into my battens to pull that tight, and then I will do any extra making good I need to after that. But what you do need to be careful of is that seal at the end. You have to be very, very gentle with, because if you don't get that right, you'll be doing all of this again within an extra couple of years, especially if you keep your Caravan outside. And off camera, just because it was only very brief, also I just chucked down a little extra plywood here. It's literally just a square piece of plywood, and I've just screwed it in. Very simple, just to pull this here in. As you can see, before it was a little bit loose. That's all that's done. It's just tied it into the good piece of plywood flooring here. I do have a threshold strip which will separate the difference in floor level, so that will not be a problem. Have not secured this yet, so I've just positioned this in here loosely, and now I will position loosely in the furniture down there and re-secure everything, and then double check the outside for excellent fitment. And if it is indeed excellent fitment, then we're okay to take it for a test drive, which will be the real test of whether everything's going to shake apart or not. It's obviously had some slight accident damage here at the front, but now the side looks way better, which is excellent. So as for the bracing, essentially it's very simple. It goes down into our nice new plywood there, and then we put some screws up into the back, and I've also put an extra timber here which I've put some bolts through as well, which holds everything in nice and tight. And now that is super sturdy. You give that a rock and it rocks the whole caravan. It's actually surprising, considering this is made out of such thin timber, it's surprising how much structural rigidity it has. Now, as for finishing touches, you can see it doesn't look perfect yet. It actually looks a bit scabby still. I'm going to leave it exactly like it is for now, and I'm going to take it for a test drive first. Then, after the test drive, if all is well, then we'll start putting it all back together and making it look nice. But if during the test drive it starts to come apart again slightly, it might need some more bracing, in which case I'll be pleased that I haven't gotten everything just so. So that's it, I think, for this video. Just a quick little how to fix that. I'm not a professional, by the way, at repairing or rebuilding caravans. I'm not a coach builder. So if you have any tips or tricks, or you've done things yourself and you've got some great stuff that you think people should know, then by all means leave a comment and help someone out.